Boys are back. Second week, Shrammy, right here on Sauce and Shram. We got Riz and Monty down here today. So we put Bowling and Nate upstairs in the bullpen today to begin today's conversation. Gentlemen, first of all, that's a heck of a throw from a left fielder. No cut, just one arm needed. Pretty darn impressive. Best one you've seen this year so far?
The first thing I thought of when I saw that was the Laureano one where he doubled up the guy at first. But just picking it up, not even looking, and just knowing you're going home with it right away, purely off instincts, and to throw a one-hopper like that, so impressive. It's a missile.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for sure. The first thing I thought it was Laureano, too. The one he threw to first, and then when he threw out, I think it was Bogarts at third or earlier in the season. It's crazy what they're doing in Oakland.
Ironically enough, and I know Riz and Bowling up there know this, is Laureano was the player who hit that ball into the corner. So something about him being involved in a play in Oakland. That dude has the best rocket, I think, in Major League Baseball, Laureano, but Gonzalez clearly not too far behind.
You boys agree up there?
Yeah, I would say I agree. It actually made me think about Yoenis Cespedes a few years ago. He's not really doing much these days, but that was a really impressive throw in the same park. So,
yeah, I think there's something about that park in Oakland. Maybe the players are thinking football. They're thinking football lines in that lovely stadium out there, and they just want to sling it.
Felt like an underhanded compliment from Bowling on my Mets, right, on Yossi. Like, oh, yeah, great. Reminded me of Yossi, but he's not doing a whole lot.
Yossi did it with the A's, too.
Yeah, he did it with the A's. Gentlemen, we do want to get into a debate that you guys were having, and I think it's an interesting one here. We know the All-Star break is getting ready to be upon us here soon. And, Bowling, I'll start with you upstairs on this one. I just wonder, does every team need to have a representative in the All-Star game? Because I'm kind of old school. I like it. What are you, new schooler? Do you think it's a good rule?
It kind of it doesn't really matter to me, honestly, because the game doesn't matter anymore. I think back in the day when it did matter, it was kind of weird to see guys that were not even going to factor in the playoff race to have big roles in these games that would decide who had home field in the World Series. But it kind of lends itself to the small market teams that don't really have a chance based on, size and just pure fan base. So if that's how they're going to do it just to get every team represented, I think it's probably all right.
I don't think there's any harm in it.
Yeah, Nate, did I just hear that the game doesn't matter? Is that what Michael Bowling just said? And just kind of slid it out there, Nate? Do you agree? The game doesn't matter. It's the best All-Star game of any of the big four.
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter now. I mean, there's no home field on the line. Think about it. There's no harm in doing that right now because the game doesn't matter. It has no significance for over 10 years, over a decade. The game did matter because it had, the winner got home field advantage in the World Series. So you want your best players. You want the fans to vote for the right players. You want the right players representing your league. Now there's absolutely no consequence of having every team have a player because at the end of the day, the result truly doesn't matter. Okay,
so wait a minute, Shrammy. So you're telling me, Nate's telling me, that the commissioner used to have it where they put home field on it. Everybody hated that. Remember that?
Right.
It sucked. It's terrible. Let's get rid of it. So now they get rid of it, and now the game doesn't matter. He can't win. I mean, Bud Siegel was trying to spice it up.
That's okay, though. It's okay if the game doesn't matter. It's an exhibition game. It doesn't count in any state. That's all right. It's not a bad thing if it doesn't matter. It didn't matter when it was a good All-Star game and everyone tried back in the 50s, 60s,
yeah, when
and 40s.
Pete Rose barreled Ray Fosse and broke his ankle.
It didn't matter then, but that was a different era, a different culture of ball player. It's okay if it doesn't matter. I'm all right with that. And I still think, I don't care if it changes, but I still think that if you want a truly fun exhibition that's for the fans to put the best product out there, we don't need Sandy Alcantara's on the We don't need Paul DeYoung's on the All-Star. I don't think the Cardinals had a deserving, as a Cardinal fan, I don't think they had a deserving All-Star candidate this year.
Don't you want to watch if you know one of your guys is representative?
Not if they're getting a pity vote.
What? That's pity. I remember when my Mets sucked, and we still suck. Lee Mazzilli back in '79 was on the team, and as a kid, I couldn't wait to watch him. And he hit a home run off Jim Kerr, and I'll never forget it.
It says more about you.
I think that's what's important, though, is it's for the kids. It's what you said. It's for the 5-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, the 12-year-olds. But who cares?
Monty,
to me,
isn't that who we're growing the game for? Don't we want the kids to be involved in it?
I get that argument, but I think it's guys like Sandy Alcantara and the rest of these guys on the list that are taking spots from other people, right? So Luke Voigt should be an all-star, but he can't because Whit Merrifield has to be there, who's granted has had a great year and is an all-star.
Right.
But
yeah,
there's
Whit Merrifield should be an all-star.
Sure, but
what's the harm in doing this, Riz? I don't understand the angst of, well, we should just let the best in and keep some teams out.
I agree with you here. I think that when it did matter, when home field advantage was at stake and you had this thing of inclusion where every team gets an all-star, those are inherently incompatible. But now that home field advantage is not up for grabs, I think we can say the game doesn't matter, but when you watch them play, they obviously care. No pitcher wants to be the guy that gets overmatched and gives up the home run. No hitter wants to be the guy that went 0 for 2 with 2 Ks against these pitchers. I think that every team deserves an all-star, and I think that the players care about the game, and it's enough to make me watch. I know that.
Michael Bowling, I'll ask you guys upstairs. What do you think? Do you think the game needs to be tweaked again then so that it does matter, at least in our eyes, if you guys believe it really doesn't matter anymore?
See, my point of view is that I don't think, since the game doesn't matter, I don't think you need to tweak it. Like you said, it's the best all-star game of all the 4 major sports. So that in itself just tells me, listen, people are going to watch it. But I think about the little kid in Tampa Bay who probably doesn't get to see their player play on such a high level all the time. They don't play on Sunday Night Baseball. So that kid gets to watch Austin Meadows or whoever it is get to play in 1 inning or 2 innings in an all-star game, and that's what really matters.
But is it worth it for 1 or 2 innings, like you said?
Yes.
Like
Yes, Monty.
It might be 1 at bat.
I can't remember.
He might not even make a play in the field.
But you're going to be glued for that at bat, right?
I guess, but if you're watching the game, you should be glued for the whole time. It shouldn't matter. Like, if you're watching the game, are you watching it because your player might get 1 at bat?
Yes.
Yes, though.
That's exactly
you're
what I'm
watching it because
How
it's
about
the
this?
All-Star game.
These 2 things are true. You know I like to say it. These 2 things are true. It is great for the little kids. It is great for them, and it is good for them, and that is a positive thing. It also is bad for the Luke Voigts. It's true. They're both true. You can't have our cake and eat it too. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Because, as you said, inherently incompatible here, trying to match these 2 things up. It's not fair to the most deserving players, but it is great for the little kids.
I think we got a 7th voice.
Well, there's not enough talking down there. I just wanted to say that whatever Monty thinks, I'm going to go against.
Savage, bro.
So I'm with the rest of you guys.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
right. Let's have some inclusion in this thing.
And I think there's going to be snubs regardless. It's an imperfect system. We still have the fan vote, so that's another thing. And talking about what Bowling was talking about, I should have done a little more research, but it was back when I was, 12 or 13, and Paul Konerko made an All-Star game. And he wasn't starting, but he came in the 6th or the 7th, and he ended up hitting a RBI ground rule double. And I thought he was going to win MVP because it was like a game-tying hit.
There you go.
And it was just that was enough for me to be like, this was awesome. I had a blast.
We're going to give Nate the last word upstairs. Nate, your final say on this subject is what? Does it need to be tinkered with and tweaked at all, or are you good with the way it is?
No, I'm okay with the way it is. At the end of the day, it's an exhibition game. If you're a baseball fan, you're going to watch. If you're a fringe baseball fan, maybe, do something else that night. Maybe go on a date. Football season's coming up in like 2 months. So take care of that business. Yeah, take care of that business. So you have a nice free week. And then when the real we're grinding it out in the fall and August and September, you did your job in July.
Is that what the kids call it, grinding it out?
It's a good date week, though, because there's no basketball, there's no football, baseball doesn't even count. Yeah. Good date week for the fellas and the ladies when you get to All-Star Week festivities.
I saw Nate sliding that Orioles hat in there. Check him out, gentlemen. We always enjoy the conversation every Wednesday here on Sauce and Shrimp. You can catch him. Payoff Pitches, your one-stop shop. All things baseball, fantasy, advice. Check him out again. It's 5 p.m. on Eastern Time on Wednesdays, 4 p.m. our time, of course.